Later on, I found a girl when I was about 22 years old. She was a darling. She was a girl that went to church. And she was a nice girl. She didn't smoke or drink or she didn't dance or anything. A nice girl. Then about 22, I'd made enough money I bought me an old Ford. One day, she was out of a nice family. And I began to think, you know, I oughtn't take that girl's time. It isn't right. Because she's a nice girl. And I'm poor. And there was no way for me to make a living for a girl like that who had been used to a nice home and rugs on the floor. I made up my mind that I either had to ask her to marry me or I must get away and let some good man marry her. I could be kind to her, but I was only making 20 cents an hour. So I couldn't make too much of a living for her. Maybe if I couldn't have her, I could know that she was happy. I thought, but I just can't give her up. You know what? I wrote her a letter and asked her. And so I can't ask her daddy, and I'm sure I'm not going to ask her mother. And so I've got to ask her first. So I wrote me a letter that morning on the road to work. I dropped it in the mailbox. We was going to church Wednesday night, and that's on Monday morning. I tried all day Sunday to tell her that I wanted to get married, and I just couldn't get up to enough nerve. And any boy that hasn't got nerve enough to walk up to the house and knock on the door and ask for the girl ain't got no business being out with her anyhow. That's exactly right. So after church, we started walking down the street together, going home, and so we walked to the old Ford. And I was walking up to the door with her. She said, Billy? I said, yeah. She said, I got your letter. Oh, my. I said, you did? She said, uh-huh. I said, I think we ought to tell the parents about it. Don't you think so? I said, I'll tell your daddy if you'll tell your mother. So she walked back and left me standing there. And I said, Charlie? He turned around and said, yeah, Bill. I said, could I talk to you just a minute? He said, sure. He turned around from his desk. I said, sure is a pretty night, isn't it? He said, yes, it is. I said, sure been warm. Certainly has. He looked at me. I said, I've been working so hard. I said, you know, even my hands are getting callous. He said, you can have her, Bill. I said, you really mean it, Charlie? I said, Charlie, look, I know she's your daughter and you got money. And he reached over and got me by the hand. He said, Bill, listen, money ain't all things that's in human life. He said, I said, Charlie, I only make 20 cents an hour, but I love her. She loves me. I promise you, Charlie, that I'll work till the calluses wear off of my hands to make her a living. I'll be just as true to her as I could be. He said, I believe that, Bill. He said, listen, Bill, I want to tell you. He said, you know, happiness don't altogether take money to be happy. So just be good to her, and I know you will. I said, thank you, Charlie. I sure will do that. And it's her time to tell Mama. I don't know how she got by, but we got married. And, oh, we were happy. We had one another, so that was all necessary. God, by His mercy and His goodness, was the happiest little couple could be on the earth. God bless her soul now. She's in glory. I found this, that happiness does not consist of how much of the world's good you own, but how contented you are with the portion that's allotted to you. I got a wife that I love, and that's me. And I would not even have married her because of my love for my first wife. She's a lovely woman. The first anniversary, the first our wedding, I took her on a hunting trip because I couldn't afford to take the hunting trip and go on a honeymoon too, so I kind of put it together. I don't believe there could be a better wife in the world than my wife, and I hope she always remains that way. And I want to be a loyal husband. And I hope that every young man in this building, when he gets married, gets a wife like my wife. I don't know how long we'll live that way, but I hope the rest of our days on earth. We've been very happy together. God was the one who told me to marry her. At the same time, her not knowing, I was trying not to marry her. Not because I didn't love her, but because I didn't think I was able to make a living for her, and she's a fine woman, and I just didn't deserve that. And she went out to pray and opened up the Bible, and she said, Lord, I've never did this before, but give me a scripture that'll help me. If I've got to forget him, I've got to forget it. Open the Bible, and she went out in a little shed and prayed, and when she opened the Bible up, Malachi 4, behold, I send unto you Elijah the prophet. That was 20-something years ago, knowing nothing about the ministry of this day. And I was laying down the river there, and he woke me up one night. I heard him stand there at the door. He said, go get her, and your wedding shall be this coming October the 23rd. And that's just exactly what I did. And we've lived happy. By the grace of God, we never had one word. She's been a sweetheart. One day I come in, and she's had to raise these children by herself. Me gone in the ministry. Not many women would put up with that. You know that. That'd be hard. And not one time has she ever said one word about me going to the meeting, staying months or whatever it was. Not one time has she ever opened her mouth about it. She's always sent my clothes to the cleaners and washed my shirts and had everything ready to go in the meeting. And then she wonders how she can serve God. You women, as you serve your husband, you serve God, of course.
Until we